Pernida is definitely one of the most unique members of Yhwach's elite guard, the Schutzstaffel. It is known as Sternritter C, named after its schrift ability, the Compulsory. Unlike an ordinary Quincy, Pernida isn't just a follower of Yhwach, but is literally a piece of the Soul King himself. Pernida is the left hand of the Soul King, which governs over progress. This Quincy's unique abilities involve controlling evolution itself and manipulating the anatomy of its opponents by twisting their bodies with its nerves. During Pernida's battle against Mayuri, it displays relentless adaptability as it continuously evolves and replicates in order to overcome the challenge that Mayuri poses. In this video, I'll be going over everything that there is to know about the Sternritter Pernida. I'll be talking about an anime exclusive scene which reveals new details about Pernida's backstory. I'll go over all of Pernida's appearances within the anime and the manga, as well as all of the major fights that the left hand of the Soul King takes part in. Be sure to stick around until the very end of this video, as I'll also be going over the schrift ability, the Compulsory, and why it is one of the most broken powers in all of Bleach. So without further delay, let's begin my character analysis of Pernida. We got really tired of the same old boring anime shirts, so we decided to launch Getsuga.com with the aim of creating designs inspired by our favorite anime and manga. We came up with designs that look cool and represent all of our favorite stories. Check out the latest Instinct collection, which features some amazing designs like this Frosted Heavens design inspired by Toshiro Hitsugaya, or this Instinct design inspired by Hollow Ichigo, and my personal favorite, which is the Heart design, which was inspired by Ukiura Shifa. Do not miss out, go to Getsuga.com and wear your favorite stories. Pernida makes its debut appearance within chapter 599 of the manga and in episode 14 of the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime. In its appearance, Pernida is very mysterious as it's cloaked in a long white robe which is fastened with 3 buttons and marked with a dark red Hagal rune on the side. This Hagal rune emblem represents that it's a member of Yhwach's elite guard, the Schutzstaffel. The cloak that Pernida wears conceals a lot of its form, casting its face into shadow, with only its glowing eyes being visible for the majority of the time, and this adds to its unsettling appearance. Under the cloak, the true form of Pernida is revealed to be the left hand of the Soul King. Its body consists of a giant, pale-skinned hand with chains binding its fingertips together, and in the center of the palm there is a large eye which features multiple pupils with the irises golden in color. Now the multiple irises are similar to how Yhwach's eyes appear when he activates the Almighty, and the Soul King, who has 4 pupils within each eye. When Pernida breaks free of those chains that bind its fingertips together, it takes on the form of a massive arm with exposed tendons, muscles, and bone. During its early appearances in the story, we couldn't really tell Pernida's personality, as it for the most part was reserved and silent. When Pernida communicates, the audience isn't really able to understand what it's saying, but the Schutzstaffel members appear to understand its intentions. Things quickly change when Pernida battles against Mayuri, as the Quincy begins to gradually start to speak. Like it's evolving and learning to speak for the first time, it begins with some slow, incoherent mumbles, but over the course of the fight it becomes more and more articulate until Pernida is able to fully communicate on its own. While fighting, Pernida is cocky and almost dismissive. Its arrogant confidence is shown firsthand when it taunts Mayuri during their fight. Pernida mocks him, mimicking Mayuri's laughter after it manages to counter his modified Bankai. While the origins of Pernida link back to it being the left hand of the Soul King, Pernida itself insists on identifying as a Quincy, and it takes a great deal of pride in this. It is seen to be visibly angry and irritated when its identity as a Quincy is questioned or ridiculed. Now, some details about Pernida's backstory are revealed within chapter 656 of the Bleach manga, when Askin reveals that Lil was the leader of the Schutzstaffel and he was the first Quincy that Yhwach had granted a schrift to. The other 2 members of the Schutzstaffel, Pernida and Gerard, are Quincies that His Majesty did not grant any ability to, as they were already born with schrift abilities. So the letter that Yhwach had given to Pernida and Gerard was in correspondence to the power that they already possessed. Askin states that according to the rumors, Pernida is supposedly the left arm of the Soul King, while Gerard is the embodiment of the Soul King's heart. Now this is everything that we know about the origins of Pernida until the release of the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime, as in episode 24 we learn about details of Pernida's origins from 1000 years ago. We learned that Ichibei had attempted a truce with Yhwach's army, the Empire of Light. He was concerned that their immense power may pose a threat to the Shinigami in the future. So in preparation for this meeting, Ichibei had carried with him the left hand of the Soul King, and this was concealed within his body as a protective measure. Now when the negotiations between him and Yhwach had fallen apart, Yhwach had activated his fearsome ability, the Almighty, but Ichibei had then called upon the left hand of the Soul King to counter Yhwach's overwhelming power. Yhwach had managed to suppress this threat, restraining the left hand by channeling his brute ability to suppress it. Now in retaliation, the Soul King's left hand had reacted by momentarily taking control of Yhwach, as this had effectively neutralized the Almighty, leaving Yhwach unable to see the future. Ichibei had effectively sealed the Almighty until Yhwach's death. Sometime after this flashback in episode 24, the left hand of the Soul King had developed consciousness, and it had taken on the form and identity of a Quincy. We don't know how it joined the ranks of Yhwach's Schutzstaffel, but it adopted the name Pernida and had become one of the most powerful Quincy under Yhwach. In the present timeline, after Yhwach's Invisible Empire had launched their first invasion on the Soul Society, Pernida, along with Lil, Gerard, and Hashward, had taken their places behind Yhwach as he had declared Uryu his successor. This was shown to us in episode 14 of the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime. Now when Senjumaru had defeated Nyanzol Weasel, Yhwach had summoned Pernida and the other elite Sternritter to battle the Zero Division. Pernida had used the Compulsory in order to compress a massive guard that Senjumaru had summoned to battle. Following this, when Lil Barrow appears to have eliminated Senjumaru by shooting her through her head, Pernida had compressed her body to clear the way for Yhwach. Now when Senjumaru is revealed to have survived, the Schutzstaffel, including Yhwach, are trapped within Kiryo's Cage of Life. Now this is where the anime and the manga differ massively. The manga was pretty brief with Pernida's role, as it had watched Nimaya battle Lil and Gerard and defeat them with his blade, and when Pernida had attempted to use the Compulsory against Nimaya, the Quincy was countered and stabbed by Nimaya. The Schutzstaffel are then out of commission until Yhwach utilizes Ashvalen to revive them. Pernida is then restored with even greater power than before, as it uses this to shatter the Cage of Life. This is what allows Yhwach to escape and then battle against Ichibei. And then it's assumed that Pernida, along with the other Schutzstaffel members, had off-screened the Zero Division. The anime differs by expanding upon the role of the Zero Division as well as each of the Schutzstaffel members, as Pernida is given an anime-exclusive fight sequence against Kiryo Hikifune, and in the anime version, Yhwach escapes the Cage of Life much sooner and battles against Ichibei, and during the fight he uses Ashvalen, which empowers Yhwach, and it's used to resurrect the Schutzstaffel. While in the manga an empowered Pernida had destroyed the Cage of Life, it was Yhwach's casting of Ashvalen which had destroyed the cage instead. Pernida, along with the other Schutzstaffel members, are revived into their holy forms, as we then get the anime exclusive fight sequences involving the Schutzstaffel and the Zero Division in episode 26. So Kiryo traps the Schutzstaffel, including Pernida, with her branches, and the left hand of the Soul King has a 1 vs 1 against Kiryo Hikifune. As the fight progresses, Kiryo runs out of energy reserves as she transforms into a slim form, thus granting Pernida the upper hand as it eliminates her. So the anime showcases the Zero Division defeated by the empowered Schutzstaffel members, when Kiryo, Nimaya, and Kurinji sacrifice themselves in order to allow Senjumaru to activate her Bankai. We are shown an anime exclusive sequence where Senjumaru's Bankai defeats Pernida. Her Bankai technique, Unraveled 3 hanks bowels of black sand, is used against Pernida, as this generates a black cloth which transforms into a whirling black sand which swallows Pernida whole. It even attempts to use the Compulsory to escape, but it's unable to overcome the sand. Now Pernida remains trapped until Uryu defeats Senjumaru. When Ichigo and the others arrive to stop Yhwach killing the Soul King, Pernida intervenes to protect Yhwach by warping Yoruichi's arm with the Compulsory. When Yhwach begins to absorb Mimihagi and the Soul King, the greater palace of the Soul King begins to crumble. In chapter 620 we see see Pernida actually fall from the royal palace, but it is actually grabbed by Gerard and brought back to safety. After Yhwach absorbs the Soul King, Hashward gathers Pernida and the other Sternritter so that they can witness Yhwach's transformation. Yhwach's power destabilizes the palace as the group take refuge on pieces of debris, and Pernida then joins the Schutzstaffel in kneeling before Yhwach as he introduces his new castle Vaharvelt. Following this, Pernida along with the other Schutzstaffel descend into the city below as they prepare for a final battle against the Shinigami. Pernida has an intricate battle filled with strategy against Mayuri and Nemu, but before this he does have a brief confrontation with Kimpachi, as Kimpachi wants to take down the Sternritter, despite Mayuri telling him to back down, as Pernida demonstrates its unique power, the Compulsory, as it warps Kimpachi's arm and forces him to rip it off. Kimpachi attempts to counterattack by cutting through Pernida, only to have his legs twisted and disabled, leaving him vulnerable for another attack. This is when Mayuri intervenes, unveiling a approach to counter Pernida's schrift ability. He understands that Pernida's nerves are both its weapon as well as its weakness. Mayuri then sprays the nerve tendrils with a corrosive fluid, causing Pernida to reel in pain as its cloak begins to disintegrate, revealing its true form as the left hand of the Soul King. Angered, Pernida launches another attack on Mayuri, who cleverly uses a defensive shield while moving around Pernida's ground-based attacks. Pernida's ability to manipulate the ground is countered with Mayuri using Hyaku as he avoids Pernida's attacks. Now this tactic catches Pernida off guard, as it gives Mayuri a chance to blow off one of Pernida's fingers, but it then rapidly regrows and infects him with its nerves. Mayuri's ability to constantly adapt is showcased here as he restructures his own arm in order to prevent Pernida from taking control. Mayuri then activates a modified version of his Bankai called Makai Fukuin Shotai, and this is designed specifically to battle Pernida's nerve-based replication. Mayuri's Bankai is summoned as it's covered in layered nerves which peel away like an onion if Pernida attempts to control it, as it successfully devours Pernida and its clones. But Pernida retaliates from within, tearing its way out by unleashing a barrage of powerful arrows, which infuse its nerve control into the arrows. Thanks to this, the Quincy is able to destroy parts of Mayuri's arm, as Nemu intervenes to protect Mayuri as the battle intensifies. During the final section of the fight, Nemu injects one of Pernida's arrows with a coagulant to halt the nerves, freezing some of Pernida's clones. Pernida, however, severs its infected thumb and continues its relentless evolution as it adapts to Nemu's speed and combat style. Despite Nemu's immense efforts, Pernida ultimately tears it apart and consumes her remains and triggers its final evolution. But then Mayuri uses Nemu's brain to disrupt Pernida's overactive cells which are replicating, as it causes the clones to self-destruct from uncontrollable regeneration. And this is pretty much the last time that we see Pernida in chapter 644 after it's defeated by Mayuri. Pernida has a mixture of complex and very specialized abilities which make it a very powerful opponent to face off against. It has precognitive immunity, similar to Mimihagi and the Soul King, which means that it is immune to abilities like the Almighty. Because it is the embodiment of the left hand of the Soul King, Pernida governs over progress or evolution. This enables it to continuously improve itself both mentally and physically in combat situations. Pernida adapts rapidly, as we see during its battle against Mayuri, as it learns from anything that its nerves touch. Thanks to this, it can replicate the abilities of its enemies too, enhancing its body and mind with each new fight that it takes part in. Another power which was demonstrated during its fight against Mayuri was self-replication. By detaching one of its fingers, Pernida can create an independent clone, complete with its own eyes and additional fingers. Now these clones retain all of Pernida's abilities, including the use of the Compulsory, and they are capable of regenerating from severe damage even when they are dismembered by growing extra eyes and fingers on the affected body parts. Now the schrift ability, the Compulsory, is Pernida's most fearsome power, as this ability allows it to release nerves from its fingers which can invade and control the movements of others. With these nerves, Pernida is able to twist and contort a target's body, inflicting inflicting devastating damage almost instantaneously. It was able to utilize this ability against powerful opponents like Kenpachi and Yoruichi. Pernida can also manipulate the ground and structures around it in order to create massive hand-like constructs to attack its opponents. By detaching its fingers, Pernida is also able to use the Compulsory remotely, utilizing eyes that open on each detached knuckle to guide its attacks. In the 1000 Year Blood War arc anime, we had seen Pernida's holy form for the first time as it transforms itself in appearance as it gains a halo along with two massive hand-shaped wings. Pernida's holy form enhances its Reiatsu and it glows in a yellow golden color, and thanks to the wings it grants Pernida the ability to take flight. The anime had also revealed that Pernida can utilize its wings in order to grab its opponents. On the channel, I recently made a Ultimate Quincy Theory video where I deep dived into the character of Pernida and its links to Mimi Hagi and how this links to Yhwach's Quincy army and the Ishida family. If you want to learn more about why Pernida is so proud of the fact that it is a Quincy, then definitely do go and check that video out after this one. Pernida's battle against Mayuri is literally a week or two away from being adapted into the 1000 Year Blood War arc anime, so I'm really interested to see how the battle against Mayuri will be expanded upon in the anime adaptation. We most certainly are going to be getting some anime exclusive scenes involving Pernida using its holy form against either Kenpachi or Mayuri. In the manga, Pernida's fight actually got some of the most screen time out of all of the Shoot Starfall, as it had started in chapter 635 and had gone on until chapter 644. It does make me think about the extent of additions that will be made to the anime, since they could just straight adapt all of the manga content and it would be still very sufficient. So this is all that I have for the left hand of the Soul King. Let me know your thoughts about the character of Pernida and its role in the 1000 Year Blood War arc. Are you looking forward to seeing Pernida's battle against Mayuri being adapted into the anime? What do you think about Pernida's unique ability to Compulsory? If there's anything that I've forgotten to mention about this character, then let me know by continuing the discussion in the comments. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I cannot wait to see you in my next Bleach Explained video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.